Ajila topic to it's about Christian husband. Ekta Christian husband to kina hobole lage kule tomhan saina jabo. A husband should be a spiritual leader at home. To ikilo desabo. The role of the husband should be spiritual leader in his own home and be a responsible. This role should be carried out as a godly example of a loving and a sacrificial. Na ekta mota spiritual leader hobo lage tala nijor ghorte aru ekta responsible hobo lage. Aru itu role dikina carried out kurubole lage kuleto as a godly example of a loving and a sacrificial. Aru, in order for the husband to be the spiritual leader at home, he should be faithful toward God, spend time at home with his family as well. Tai spiritual leader hobole monase kule nijola ghorte. He should be faithful. Aru, he have to spend time at home with his family as well. Aru ite point number 1 sabo with his wife. Tala makilo de kina thakibole lage kuledo. He should be the spiritual leader of his wife at home by teaching his wife the things of God. Itumhan ko de babo kuledo man 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33 to 35 de babo. Moi puri dibo. 33. For God is not the author of confusion but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. 34. Let your women keep silent in the churches, for they are not permitted to speak, but they are to be submissive as the law also says. 35. And if they want to learn something, let them ask their own husbands at home, for it is shameful for women to speak in church. Man ite ba dikho pare maki ekta do church de silent thakibole lage kile kole ta hando not permitted to speak aru hando submissive hobole lage as the law also says. And if they want to learn something, jodi maki han kiba learn kobole mon ase kule to tai do nijor mota ke ghorte hudibole lage kile kole for it is shameful for women to speak in church. Aru ite point number 2 sabo providing financially and creating an atmosphere of security and stability. Ito ko diya siguro 1 Timothy 5:8 mo purido. But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Na ekta husband nijola family ke provide kurole na pare kuledo, especially dala nijola household khan ke inya sikuledo he has denied the faith aru taido uto unbelievers khan brabi verse ase to mahan motahan janibole lage na nijor family ke kina provide kurole lage taido ekta spiritual husband ase kuledo already scripture badina ase kina thakibole lage so he have to be providing financially and he have to create an atmosphere of security and stability for his own household. Ite point number 3 sabo managing his household well. 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 4 and 5 mo purido. Verse 4. One who rules his own house well, having his children in submission with all reverence. Verse 5. For if a man does not know how to rule his own house, how will he take care of the church of God? Now, ekta husband do nijola household ke bhalba rule krobole janibole lage aru nijola bachahan ke bhalba usula khota hikabole lage. Verse 5 te nishna. For if a man does not know how to rule his own house na jodi ekta mota ekta husband tala nijor ke family ke rule krobole na jane kushi gule da tai kina kona church la kam korole parbo itu karne first nijola family ke bhalba usu khota han aru bhalba thakibole la hikabole lagibo inya kona church te kam korole parbo aru ite point number 4 sabo treating his wife with honor and respect. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7 mo purido. Husbands likewise dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayer may not be hindered. Malachi chapter 2 verse 14-15 be pretty well. Yet you say, for what reason? But the Lord has been witness between you and the wife of your youth, with whom you have dealt treacherously. Yet she is your companion and your wife by covenant. Verse 15. But did he not make them one, having a remnant of the spirit? And why one? He seeks godly offspring. Therefore, take heed to your spirit and let none deal treacherously with the wife of his youth. Wife ke honor krobole lage, respect be krobole lage. Aro ite point number 5 sabo. Serving and loving his wife as Christ loved the church. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 25 or 26 sabo. Mo purido verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. Verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word. Na nijola makike morom kuro lage. Jinika Jesus Christ ba church ke morom korench na. Aru verse 27 dibi sabo, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and without blemish. Verse 28. So, husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Verse 29. For no one ever hates his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. Verse 30. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. 31. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Verse 32. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Verse 33. Nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respect her husband. তো মহান ইতিবা ক্লিয়ারলি দেখাব পাৰিছে আৰু I believe মই এইটো পুৰা ভালভাৱে বুজিছে মই শৰ্ট কৈ দিব এটা হাজবেণ্ডো নিজৰ লামাকিকে নিজৰ লাভদিকে কিনা মৰম কৰে এইটো নিচিনা নিজৰ লামাকিকে মৰম কৰিবলৈ লাগে না মহাদি নিজৰ লাভদিকে বেছি মৰম কৰে না গাঁও বিয়া উচিকলে দাৱাই খায় কিবা কিবি খা ভাল জিনিস খান খায় আৰু ভাল কৰিবলৈ এইটো গাঁও ভাল কৰিবলৈ মহান নাৰিছ কৰে নিচিনা নিজৰ লামাকিকে বি মোৰ যোনটো একটা আছে ইনা ভাবিনা আপুনি নিজৰকে কিমান মৰম কৰে নিজৰকে কিমান কেয়াৰ কৰে এইটো নিচিনা নিজৰ লামাকিকে বি কেয়াৰ কৰি থাকিবলৈ লাগে আৰু এতিয়া পইণ্ট নম্বৰ 6 চাব praising his wife. Itu bishi important ase. Bishi bak motahan nijor la makike praise nukure. Na holebi ide Bible ba clearly going ase. Itu karne makike bi praise kuro lage. Mahan sabo Proverbs 31:28. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Na nijor la bacha hambi kobo muide kiman bi ama bahal paise. Na ama hambi kiman bi blessed ase. Ina guna nijor la bacha hambi ama ke praise kuro ar husband bi kuro bole lage. Aru makihan itu hunina কিলে নলে মোলা বাচ্চা হান্দো কিলে মোলা মতাদো মুকে প্রেস নকৰে ইনা কোনা তাতে গুছাবি নহবলে লাগে ফার্স্ট নিজৰকে এক্সামাইন কৰিবি আপনি এইটো ওয়ার্থি ওমেন আছে না নাই আপনি বি এইটো চেক কৰিবি আপনি ওয়ার্থি আছে গলে হি আপোনাৰ নিজৰলা বাচ্চা আপনি প্রেস কৰিব আপনি লা নিজৰলা বাচ্চাৰ মতাবা কব মই কিমান আমা ভাল পাইছে কিমান ভাল মাকি পাইছে বিনা আপনি প্রেস কৰিব আৰু এতিয়া পইণ্ট নম্বৰ 7 চাব remaining faithful and fulfilling his marital duties এইটো বেছি ইম্পৰ্টেন্ট আছে এটা হাজবেন্ড তাইdo faithful থাকিবলৈ লাগে নমৰাটাক আৰু সাদি কুৰাদানগে তাই কি প্ৰমিস কৰিছে ইটো কিতেবি নাচাৰবলৈ লাগে আৰু তাইলা ডিউটিজ টু ফুলফিল কৰিবলৈ লাগে মান চাব 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 1 to 5 দেবা চাব verse 1 Now concerning the things of which you wrote to me it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Verse 2 Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Verse 3 Let the husband render to his wife the affection due her, and likewise also the wife to her husband. Verse 4 The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Verse 5 Do not deprive one another, except with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer and come together again, so that Satan does not tame you because of your lack of self-control. Na mota makidiki na থাকিবলৈ লাগে এটা ভাও বা মহান দেখিব পাৰিছে আৰু এটা চাব Proverbs 15 verse 18 and 19 mo puri dibo verse 18 A wrathful man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger allays contention. Verse 19 The way of the lazy man is like a hedge of thorns, but the way of the upright is a highway. Alright, that's about Hebrew chapter 13 verse 4. Marriage is honorable among all, and the bed undefiled, but fornicators and adulterers God will judge. Now, mahan mota ar makidiki na থাকিবলৈ লাগে এইটো ভাও বা দিখছে 1 Corinthians 7 1 to 5 দেবৰা আৰু Proverbs 15 18 19 আৰু Hebrew 13 4 দেবা তো মাহান এইটো এপ্লাই কৰি থাকিবলৈ লাগে আৰু পইণ্ট নম্বৰ 8 চাব lovingly leading his wife to a submissive supporter. Itu ko diba pabo ko leda Colossians 3:18 and 19 mo puri dibo Wives, submit to your own husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Verse 19 Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter toward them. Tumambi bhalna aro ita sabo Ephesians 5:21 Submitting to one another in the fear of God. Now মাকিটো নিজৰ লা হাজবেণ্ডকে সাবমিট কৰা থাকিবলৈ লাগে ইটো হে বাবা জহবা লাগে দে ঠিক আছে আৰু মতা একটাবি নিজৰ মাকিকে মৰম কৰা থাকিবলৈ লাগে আৰু কিদিবি তাল ওপৰে বিটাৰনেছ নহব লাগে আৰু একজনকে মুৰম বাচি কোনা সাবমিট কোনা থাকিবলৈ লাগে আৰু বাবা যেহৱাকে ভয় কোনা তেলা ইচ্ছাতে থাকিবলৈ লাগে তো কোৱান চিনা মহান ইতেবা দেখিব পাৰিছে এটা মতা আৰু মাকিদো মুৰম কৰা বাচি কৰিনা আৰু সাবমিট কোনা একজনকে থাকিবলৈ লাগে আৰু বাবা যেহৱাকে ভয় কোনা তেলা ইচ্ছাতে থাকিবলৈ লাগে আৰু with praying and consulting his wife about spiritual matters and family decision he who leads and loves his wife well will gain favor with the Lord na eta mota do murom korna nijola makike am makike bi hudia korina consult korina kiba kibi decision lo bole mon jale bi makike bi hudi bole lage na kumba mota hando makike no dina tala khushi khushi kore hole bi itu inikan hobol lage kile gule tai jun jide shadi hoise tai jun ekta ho jese itu karone ekjon consult korina korbole lage aru man eta sabo Proverbs 18:22 he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord na Jundu motabra bhal maki paise itu taido bishi bhal jinis pailuse aru itu do baba Jehovah phale batai favor paise mam bhal favor pal ase aru Proverbs 3:15 debi sabo she is more precious than rubies and all the things you may desire cannot compare with her na eta bhal maki do taido precious ase eta rubies brabi eta gold eta diamond brabi precious ase aru eta motabra ki lage na ta ki desire kore itu khamba koba compare korwa na parba take aru kile gole mahan Genesis 2:18 deba kushe And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. Na ekta motado ikla hado bahal nai itu kane taba ekta tala helper banai diwo. Na I will make him a helper comparable to him ina kuna. Dai ekta helper banai dishe. Itu kane makihan jani bolage. Dai mahan makihan do ekta motala helper ase. Itu kane motahan la upor debi thakibole koshish na korwale lage. Aru bhal maki hoina thakibole lage. Aru most important ekta Christian husband do kina family ke loi jabole lage kina usur phale leina jabole lage itu janina thakibole lage na man Joshua 24:15 de kwanishna as for me and my house we will serve the Lord itu rakhina itu mondir rakhina thakibo lage Christian husband khando na moi aru moila family moila household khando baba Jehovah ke serve kuna thakibo goina aru itu dunya ikla deba mota maki nelebi bacha khan na eta family hoina du dunya ikla hoina kina gona महान salvation पाबो ना और स्वर्ग दे इखिले दे जाबले पारबो इतो कोशिश करना थाकिबले लागे आजि मुला टपिक ते इमान आसे भाल पाहुनि दिया कने थैंक यू